Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Tech Your Business podcasts. Today, we are talking marketing. Like I've always said, my favorite topics are automation and processes, marketing, and cybersecurity. So, I guess this would be this would be an episode that you really enjoy. And today, to talk marketing with me is an empathic marketing strategist. At the end of the episode, you know what that means. And his name is Mike Caldwell. So, welcome to the show, Mike.
Well, thanks for having me, Peter. Looking forward to this.
Yeah. All right. So, tell us a bit about you and what you do, the empathic marketing strategy.
Well, the way I like to tell a little story, I'm not a car racing guy or anything about that, but with Netflix on, I was watching the F1 series, right? And I think most of us have heard of the names Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, right? And those
Hmm.
guys, they just win all the races, okay? And so my question is, I drive a Ram pickup truck, okay? Drive a Ram pickup.
Hmm.
So if I was to go to like Monaco to the race course in Monaco with Max Verstappen in his F1 car, and we were to switch vehicles, and he was to drive my truck, and I was to drive his F1 car. Who would win the race? Who do you think would win, Peter?
Hmm. He would win. He would win with your
He would
truck.
win, right? It's all about the driver. It's not about the vehicle. And so he could push my, Ram pickup truck to the max, and I would crash his F1 if I could get it started. I would crash it into the wall in the first turn, right?
Yeah.
And that's what marketing is about, right? So many business owners and entrepreneurs, what do they focus on? They focus on their website or their sales funnels or their ads, right? And what are those things? Those things are the vehicle. All those things
Hmm.
do is deliver the message. The message is the driver, right? And so many business owners they skip over the first parts, right? And the first part is to really have an understanding of your audience, and that's all empathy is. Empathy just means to understand the feelings of the people you're dealing with. It's not sympathy. I'm not sharing your emotions. I just understand them. It's not compassion. I don't feel bad because of the way you're feeling. I just understand them, right? And so business owners have to focus on the driver, what's important, and that's the message first. And so that's what I do. I help businesses craft their what I call their unique empathic marketing message, and then I help deliver that in those vehicles, whether it be through a website or a sales funnel or with their advertising.
Hmm. All right. So, can you go deeper on this unique empathic marketing message, probably with an example?
Okay, so the first thing is like I said, empathy means understanding. So you need to understand your audience, and there's two ways to do that. First, you need to have an experiential understanding of your audience, and second, and this is what most people think about, is the emotional understanding. So we'll get to the emotional in a second, but on the experiential side, and this is something so many businesses get wrong. Okay, and that is they don't understand their audience's level of problem awareness, because we all have problems, and some of us are aware we have a problem, we're actively looking for a solution, and others, we're not even aware we have the problem. Let's look at people in their 50s or 60s or something. Like they're starting they get start getting more joint pain, right? Their back sore, their neck
Hmm.
sore, their shoulders are sore. And all they recognize the pain, they might not necessarily identify it as a problem because it's crept up so slowly, like it's sort of just seeped into their lives. And they know it's there, but they're not actively looking for a solution because they're of the mindset that, I'm 60 years old, I have arthritis. That's the way life is. Like there's nothing I can do about it. And so, if you had an arthritis solution and you presented them with a 50% off discount, they wouldn't be interested, right? Because they're not looking for that solution at that time. And so, you have to understand where your audience is on their journey and then educate them. It's like, hey, are you 60 years old and it's tough getting out of bed in the morning? Did you know it doesn't have to be that way? Because not all
Hmm.
60-year-olds feel that way in the morning. Let's examine what you might be doing differently than this guy here. And you show some 75-year-old doing jumping jacks, right? And it's like the Arthritis isn't just an old age pain. It's because your joints can't receive nutrients the same way as they used to. But, we've got this special formula that does X, Y, and Z that'll get into that joint and relieve the pain. So when you start educating them where they are, like just, oh, I've got pain. Yeah, I've got pain. Nothing I can do about it, and walk them through the process. That's how you have to, package your argument. And the second part on the experiential is their level of sophistication. Okay, and so let's use weight loss as an example here. Like, you look pretty fit, Peter. You probably don't want to lose any weight, but imagine you did, right?
I just
So,
lost 20.
okay, well, there you go, right? And how'd you do it?
Eating, I reduced my food. I did a bit of exercise and walking. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And so that wo- I believe every diet out there works, but you have to do it, right? And diets don't work for most of us, which is probably what you experienced before you lost the weight, because you probably tried a few times before and failed. There was nothing wrong
A
with the ways you
lot.
tried, but they didn't work because you didn't work the system, right? And this time you did work the system, you got the results. So you're a great example, actually, because you're gonna say no to this question. If I said, "Hey, Peter, I've got a pill that'll help you lose weight, and you don't have to diet or exercise," would you take the pill right
No,
now?
no
Probably
need.
not, right? And why not? Because you don't believe it, right? Because you are super skeptical. Because have you heard of these mystery pills before? Like, you have
Yeah.
heard of these mystery pills before, right? And so, um, So you are in the weight loss space. That is a very sophisticated, a very skeptical audience, because that's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and there's so many people out there right now, like, hawking all their snake oils to you, right? And so you don't know what to believe, and 90% of them are garbage. What you do know works is diet and exercise, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what you did, because that works, and you didn't do all the some of those other things probably do work, but you didn't know which one, right? And so anyway, this brings me to the level of sophistication. So, like, 40 years ago, before weight loss pills existed, the first people to come out with a weight loss pill and says, "Hey, do you want to lose weight but you don't want to diet and exercise? Try this pill. You'll lose like 7 pounds in 10 days." Now, back then, when people aren't jaded, they would try the pill then. Does that make sense? Because
Hmm.
it's new to market, it's a new promise, it's something they've never heard before, right? And so I'm working with a lawyer client right now where we're at that stage of the audience's level of sophistication. So this lawyer, he sues financial advisors. So, Peter, if you've invested with a financial advisor, let's say you had $100,000, you said, "Here, turn my $100,000 into 200,000," and like a month later, your advisor goes, "Hey, Peter, sorry, I made a mistake. All your money's gone." you know. And so what my lawyer does is he will get your money back. That's it.
Hmm.
Like, that is not a sophisticated argument, because it doesn't need to be, because there's no other lawyers out there that says, "Hey, Peter, if you've lost your money through your financial advisor because he didn't do a good job, I'll get your money back." So we don't have to be very sophisticated. But right now, going back to the weight loss space, in order to get your attention, like, how sophisticated does our marketing argument have to be? It has to be like through the roof.
Roof.
So I saw an advertisement. So I was getting pinged by this guy, Fabian Petroni or something, this jack bus weightlifting fitness guy. Anyway, I was getting all these ads from him, but it was testimonials, and we've seen, like, even testimonials aren't unique anymore because they all have testimonials, right? If I have like 1,000 clients, three of them are going to get results, right? So those three out of 1,000, it doesn't mean anything to me, and I don't know what the numbers are, but that's my false limiting belief, right? But anyway,
Yeah.
one day I saw an ad from him saying, "Train like a kangaroo." And like, that got my attention, because have you ever heard "train like a kangaroo" before? No, it makes no sense, right? And so, because he said something that nobody else in the fitness space had said, I'm like, that's what is he talking about? I was curious. So I clicked on the Facebook ad to learn more. And you know what? He didn't really talk much about kangaroos after that. But then he introduced something called density stacking. And he explained how, for somebody in my age group, I'm in my 50s, I can exercise like in less than 30 minutes a day, using just bands for resistance. So there's no heavy weights involved. And there's like three different things that really applied to my, and he had this density stacking thing that made me believe that he had, and I did a little Google search, and there are scientific reviews of this density stacking process. Anyway,
Mm.
I'm getting off too deep into the weeds on this, but yeah, he had a very sophisticated marketing strategy that got my attention, that convinced my mind with the density stacking. I ended up signing up for his year-long training.
Mm.
But that's, so those are the two levels of experiential understanding, of knowing how aware is your audience of their problem, and how, what offers have they seen before, like how sophisticated. Like, I don't want to go crazy with my lawyer. I can get your money back if you've lost. That's all I need to say. I don't have to like cite all this different legal jargon and all this different stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you've lost your money and I say I've got a lawyer that can get it back and we have a free consultation to see if you qualify, like, why wouldn't you, right? But at the same time, it's like, hey, I can help you lose weight. Let's hop on a 30-minute call for a free consultation. Nobody is going to be hopping on that weight loss call, right? Because those are different levels of sophistication. And then the second side of understanding is the emotional side, and I look at four different things there. In the short term, we're looking at your audience's difficulties and their desires. So, like today, this week, what solutions do you want? And then in the long term, what are their dreads and their dreams? So again, like with the weight loss thing, like right now, I just want to look. I want to go to I want to go on my stand-up paddleboard and take my shirt off and paddle my stand-up board without feeling embarrassed because my gut's hanging over my shorts, right? That's what I want right now. But in the long term, my doctor's saying, like, if I don't lose weight, I'm going to have diabetes and high blood pressure, and I'm going to die, right? This extra weight's going to kill me. And
Yeah.
so those are the long term, you know, dreads and dreams.
Hmm. All right. So you talked about the levels of problem awareness and the level of sophistication. And when you take a typical business trying to launch their product, they're just aware of their products. They're just aware of probably what the product can do for the customers, and they're not aware of any of much more than that. So, how does a business owner or you, a marketer, find out that level of problem awareness or sophistication of your market?
Well, so this is where the tech comes in. And um, so before, how would I do this? Before, it took so much research on my part. So like in a weight loss space, I would go to like some of the different like weight loss Facebook groups. I would just read all the comments, and I would see
Mm.
what their questions are, what their comments are, and what their Facebook people are mean, nasty people, right? Like in their comments. And so and those were some of the most valuable ones, right? Because now you're getting into the false limiting beliefs. Like if we're selling a weight loss pill, just think about how many comments are going to be like, "Oh, weight loss pills don't work. You're a snake oil salesman. You should die and burn in hell," right? Like those are the types of comments you'll get. But yeah, so you could do a lot of research in like different Facebook groups and on like different weight loss forums, and then I would also go to Amazon and I would look at like books that are selling solutions similar to mine, and I would read like the comments in the books. It's like, "Oh, I learned so much about weight, like I in this book I learned whatever," right? And the comments would tell me all that. And so it was a very time consuming, intensive process. And now I go to Chat GPT and I just ask Chat, I'm like, so if I was to, yeah, we should probably do a live demonstration, because we could ask Chat in the weight loss space, how sophisticated is the audience when being pitched a weight loss supplement? And Chat will tell me.
Mm.
Chat will say, and that's an easy one. We all know the answer to that, but it's regardless of what you're selling, Chat will still give you a relatively accurate answer. But Chat would say, "Hey, yeah, so in the weight loss space, there are like 16 billion different products being pitched every day, and it will tell you how sophisticated they are." And then I could ask, "Hey, Chat, in the legal space, for a lawyer who's servicing clients who have lost money to their financial advisors, how aware are they of that space?" In that space, and Chat would tell me. So where I got all this information is from a book called Breakthrough Advertising by Eugene Schwartz. And
Oh.
so what's really cool is ChatGPT has read that book. And so a lot of when I'm doing like the prompts for chat, I would say like referencing Eugene Schwartz's breakthrough advertising, I'm trying to identify my audience's level of awareness in the weight loss niche. Please give me a marketing statement in the problem aware, the unaware, the solution aware, the product aware, the most aware. And it will just give me the five, right? And so
Hmm.
that is where the tech today and AI is making my life so much easier because chat's doing the same work that took me days or weeks to do, but it's already done it. It knows it all, and it'll just give me the same information in a couple of seconds.
Hmm. Nice. So, using chat in getting these answers, how accurate have you seen those answers so far? Because I've seen a lot of issues where people say they get wrong answers. Sometimes it goes off course, sometimes it hallucinates and things like that. So, what has been your
Yes.
experience so far?
And so you have to know what you're talking. You have to be like chat is an assistant to you. Like you are
Hmm.
still the driving force. And so overall, I chat knows more, but I'm smarter, if that makes sense,
Definitely.
right? And so, like, just one example of that, and this isn't on the marketing side, but I live off the grid. Okay, so we have
Hmm.
solar panels out front. We charge our house with batteries, and I've got a good friend, that lawyer who sues the financial advisors. He
Yeah.
bought a really nice cottage on the lake behind us, and he wants to put a solar system in. And so he's like, "Hey, Mike, like I don't know what I'm doing. I know how to sue financial advisors. I don't know how to install a solar power system. Can you help me?" I'm like, "Sure." I'm like, and so goes back to like similar to the marketing. First, we need to do our research, and I need to know
Hmm.
how much power you are using. So tell me what appliances you're going to run during the day, right? He's like, "Well, we're going to have a fridge running all the time. We've got a deep well pump. We're going to have some lights. We're going to have a stereo." I'm like, "Okay." And so I went into chat and I said, "Okay, based on running a fridge and the lights and all this other stuff, I'm like, how many watts hours per day is this house going to use?" And it gave me an answer that was ridiculous. It was like 10 times as much power as my house is using. Like that's the
Wow.
answer. Like easily 10. So I live in a big house with like a fridge and a freezer, lights on. Like I live here. This is a cottage, right? So
Yeah.
his cottage should use probably about 25% of what my house is using. But
Oh.
chat said it was going to use 10 times more. But again, because I'm smarter than chat, like I had a ballpark idea what the answer should be. And
Hmm.
when it gave me the answer, I was like, I just went, because I talk to chat like a friend. Like hey, chat, I think your numbers are a bit off there. I was expecting the final answer to be like about around this because I knew what the ballpark figure was from
Yeah.
what. And chat came back, it's like, "Oh, sorry, I made a miscalculation. Here's the correct answer." And then it gave me the right answer, right? Um,
Hmm.
but had I had no knowledge of anything and I just said, "Hey, chat, like how big a battery bank should I buy for my cottage?" I would have bought a battery bank like 10 times, well, like 40 times bigger than I needed. So yeah, you do have to have some understanding. And like when I'm researching an audience, I've got a pretty good idea. And usually what chat is just helping me with is like more of the finer details of it. But yeah, don't. Oh, and that lawyer friend, I introduced him to chat GPT too. And oh my gosh, like I said, the way I'm using it for research for my businesses, like for the business I'm targeting, he's doing it the same way for legal precedents, like because chat has access to all that. And his
Mm.
name's Harold, the lawyer. And Harold was like, "Hey, Mike." So I was using. He loves chat. He loves it. He's like, "But you know what? You got to know your stuff because I asked chat some stuff, and he came up with like British Columbia law, like 67.2-4, and I was like, I'd never heard of that law before. And so he like
Wow.
opens up his books, and that law doesn't exist.
Exactly.
Like, but like chat even gave it like British Columbia law 67 4-2, like it, so it sounded legit. But again, my lawyer is smarter than chat, right? And he's like, that doesn't sound right. And then he just went in and asked, he's like, hey chat, like, is that a real law? And chat's like, no, I made that up because it helped, it helped, summarize my argument. And that it just helped me make up this bullshit. So yeah, so you do have to be careful with it. And yeah, don't just copy and paste without reading what chat tells you first. But it's a hugely valuable tool. But yeah, you do have to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like you say, you should really know what you're looking for first of all before
Yeah.
jumping on it. You shouldn't fully depend on it.
No.
And because I've actually had a situation. Then I was using Claude, that's the one from Anthropic, and then I'm using it, and at a point it tells me, asks me if it can make up sources for me.
Yeah.
And it was so funny, I had to screenshot it. Yeah.
But so that's what I've heard about Claude is that Claude is a little bit more ethical than ChatGPT. Like, so I hadn't heard what you just said, but because I heard Claude does stick to reality a lot more than Chat.
Yes. Yeah, it
And so
does.
I guess if Claude is going to step outside the lines, it's polite enough to say, it's like, hey, can I make stuff up? That is because, yeah, Chat's, wow, yeah, Chat's never asked me a question. That's really cool that Claude did that.
He
Interesting.
just does it.
Oh, wow. I've used Claude a little bit because I just like how many characters you can enter into Claude as opposed to
Oh,
Chat. So,
yeah,
like
yeah,
for this
yeah.
podcast, if you wanted a summary, you just download the transcript, put it into Claude, and boom, it gives you an incredible summary. But you can't do that with Chat.
Exactly. True. So, what do you see as the future of AI in marketing and business?
Well, I think it's a tool, right? And so you're in the UK, I'm in Canada, so we both have our views on U.S. gun laws. I know you got a lot of American listeners, but yeah, like it's the same thing. Like one of the arguments is guns don't kill people; people kill people, right? And
Hmm?
I think it's with AI, it's going to be the same thing. I think a lot of people are going to use AI for good, and then there's going to be the outliers that are going to use it for evil. And it's crazy. Like one of the marketing things I'm seeing again in my Facebook feed for ads is like this AI generated person with AI generated voice saying
Wow.
that if you have not created your course using AI, you are doing it all wrong. You need to generate your course using artificial intelligence. And I'm like, oh my God, like it looks pretty cool. But at the same time, I know it's like all CGI. It's all, and so I think what's going to happen is that now like we're going to be more and more jaded, like we're talking about that level of sophistication, right? Like now we're going to like already so skeptical of everything. um I had a friend who did, oh, who did he interview? Oh, he did an interview with Shaquille O'Neal. He's a podcaster. He did an interview with Shaquille O'Neal, and people were commenting in his podcast comments or whatever that Shaquille was AI generated and he wasn't really there. Like people didn't believe that was really Shaq. They thought it
Wow.
was all because Shaq kind of talks funny, but yeah, they thought it was AI, and so it's crazy now that yeah, that people are going to be even more and more like we used to be able to believe what we could touch and see, but now we're not
Yeah.
going to be able to. We're not going to believe what we see anymore. Like if people don't believe that is really Shaquille, and AI is in its infancy. Like I say, those course creators that are showing those robot, CGI generated people with the CGI generated text or whatever, we know that's fake now. But how many probably months is it going to be before I could do this podcast without being here? Right?
Mm.
Like that's I never thought of that until today. But like in a year or two from now, yeah, you could probably interview me with me not even being here, right? I'll just have some sort of software program with my face. And so I've got my book, Empathic Marketing. I'll get the software to read my book, and I'm like, hey, when Peter asks me a question, give an answer in my voice based on the information in my book. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where the future is going, it's going to be exciting and scary, and I think this is where the whole empathy comes in. Is we're going to be needing that human connection more and more because we're going to be just so distrustful of everything else.
Hmm. Yeah, and what you said about doing the podcast without being there, I think it's already possible. I know I've done one. I did the second episode of this using AI, although I didn't like it at all. It's still up though. I have a choice. I didn't like it because first of all, it got my voice. It got a bit of the way I talk, but it didn't get my accent. It didn't get a lot. So I just sounded off. I
Yeah, yeah,
didn't sound like me. Anyone will know
yeah.
it's not me. Yeah. So yeah, I think
But like I
and like you
said,
said,
when you use that software, it was a few months old. Can you imagine when it's a couple of years old? Like,
exactly.
it's just scary how fast it's evolving. Like, I've never seen anything evolve as quickly. I've seen people say, "Oh, I've been using AI for 5 years." I'm like, "Have you? And like, to what degree?" But over the past like 4 months, like it's
It's
exploded like
something
nothing I've ever seen.
else,
Yeah.
honestly.
And people are like, "Oh yeah, like AI is ever going to replace us. Look at how garbage, you know, my voice is." It's like because the technology is 3 months old. Wait till it's like 2 years old. Like don't judge an infant's adult, potential. Anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So, what are some common fears or criticisms people have around using AI with marketing?
I don't know if there's a lot of criticisms right now, but I think now people are starting to, let's say what I just said, right? You have to have that human connection. And so you can't create a human connection with artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
And this is where I'm disagreeing. It's like you got to merge the two. Like I say, so I am still the driving force. I am still the human connection, but I've got this amazing research assistant right now that's telling me, oh, so I have a series of prompts that I use now that'll get you to write a journal article. Because you know what you write in your journal, right? Like your most
Mm-hmm.
heartfelt, like you don't want anybody else to see that. Like what you write in your journal is what you really feel. So this is like the third step in a couple of prompts. But I start with Eugene Schwartz, breakthrough advertising. I say, hey, chat, based on level of problem awareness, what are they experiencing here? And then I ask them about, then I get chat to understand, like it does the research and it tells itself where they are in their level of sophistication, where they are in level of problem, where they are with their, what I call the 4 Ds of transformation delivery. That's their difficulties, desires, dreads, and dreams. And then once it has this body of like just stats and facts and data, then I'm like, now write me a 1,500 word journal article with my avatar expressing its deepest darkest pains and dreams.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, like I've read some of these things, I haven't started crying, but let's say I did. you know because like it just goes really deep, and when you're reading it you're like, yes, I can see my audience feeling this way, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
I've got, because we're all so jaded right now, right? Like just look at Instagram, like all of our friends on Instagram who live these amazing perfect lives, right? Because they take
Yeah.
this little 30-second snapshot of their day where everything's perfect, and the other 23 hours and 59 minutes is complete garbage. But we don't see that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the problem for some of our market research, is we're seeing what they're showing. But with chat, we're able to go so much deeper. And like I say, like sneak into their bedroom, open up their bedside drawer and read their journal articles while they're sleeping, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then once I have this real understanding of their emotions, then I can craft, my have to have it hook. I can craft my big differentiator. Then one of the biggest things in marketing you need to do, because our audience is so skeptical, is identify your audience's false limiting beliefs and address them before you can. Because if if I don't address your false limiting beliefs and you project it towards me, Now we're in conflict, right? And quite often people don't want to change their stance. So if you say A and I say B, there's no way I'm going to get you to say B because you've already said no, A is right. I'm like, no, well, B is right, and
Hmm.
here's why. But you're not going to change your mind just because you're proud, right? But if I can address your concern before you can make it towards me, then you're a lot more malleable. Then you're like, oh, okay, yes, I understand, right? And like same with the weight loss pill. Like if I explained to you about like this East Asian berry called Garcinia cambogia, and what it does is it stops. There's these H1 fat receptor cells that when you consume fat, it makes your cells create more fat. But this berry blocks that, and so you can eat the carbs and you can eat the fat, but your body can't synthesize those carbs into fat. Are you a
Hmm.
little bit more interested in trying that pill now?
That sounds much
Right?
sounds much better.
Yes, because I've given you like some scientific reasoning for why it works, for why and how it works, right? And then it would be quite easy for you to go into Google and just do Garcinia cambogia. And did I make this thing up or not? And you're going to find like that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And when you Google search it, you're like, oh my gosh, yes, it actually does what Mike is saying it does. So, like you say, I'm not saying you're going to buy it now, but you're thinking about it, right?
Hmm.
So now this is where I hit you with my money back guarantee. It's like, listen, Peter, try this for 30 days. Okay. If you don't lose at least 10 pounds, I if you do it right, you'll probably lose 20 pounds. But like, would you be happy to lose 10 pounds in 30 days? You'd be like, yeah, like I know how much dieting and exercise I have to do to lose 10 pounds in 30 days. But if I can try this pill that's got this cool East Asian berry and it's no risk to me, there's a pretty good chance you're going to try it now, right? But I had to
Yeah,
present that whole argument. I had to present that whole argument. And one of your false limiting beliefs is that pills don't work. Like you just don't believe it
true.
works. But when I explain to you how it works, you're a smart guy. Like I say, you could do your own research. It's like, okay, all right. But still, now there's three reasons people don't buy. One, I don't believe in you. Second, I don't believe in your product. Third, I don't believe in me, right? And so this is what I'm talking about with like every diet works, but we all don't lose. Like my wife right now, she's having great results. She's doing intermittent fasting, so she stops eating at well, we eat later, so she stops eating at 9 o'clock at night, but she doesn't eat until 1 p.m. the next day,
Wow.
and she's getting huge results from that. Like the weight's just falling off her. I'm like, oh, I should do that, but I lift weights in the morning and oh my gosh, when I'm done in the gym, I gotta eat. Like I just like I tried it a couple times and I have to eat. So intermittent fasting works because it works for my wife and we know it works, but it doesn't work for me. Right. So it's not like if you were an intermittent fasting coach, I would believe in you, I would believe in your product, but I wouldn't buy it because I would believe it didn't work for me. So this is
Mm.
where understanding your audience helps. So actually, I use a a meal replacement called Isogenics. I think it's in the UK now, but it's a multi-level marketing product. I've been with it for like 8 or 10 years or longer, I
Yeah.
think. But they have something. It's fasting, but they didn't call it fasting. And this is what's cool because when you hear fasting, you're like, oh, I don't want to fast. I can't fast. I have to eat, right? So you've always so they call it cellular cleansing. So it's like, okay, yeah,
Mm.
that I would like to do that. It's just their name for fasting. But what they do is you're not eating for it's 2 days. It's a 2-day fast. But every 4 hours, you're putting something into your mouth. And these are like
Mm.
zero or very low calorie supplements. And what these supplements do is they trick your brain because if when your stomach is full, hormones are sent out saying, "Hey,
True.
we're full. We don't need to eat." Right? So your brain's like, "Okay, cool. We don't need to eat." So what these little supplements do is they send out those same hormones, telling your brain you're full. So you can do a 2-day cleanse or 2-day fast without feeling hungry. So are you more interested in trying a 2-day cleanse if you're not worried about feeling hungry, right? So they've identified that false limiting belief as like when I'm hungry, when Mike's hungry, Mike's got to eat, right?
Yeah.
But they're saying like take this 3 calorie little, chewy thing, and you'll feel like you're full. It's like, oh, because I do want to lose the weight. I just don't want to feel hungry. And so they've addressed that, and they gave me the mindset that I should at least try it.
Mm, mm. All right. You mentioned your book on empathic marketing. Can you just give us some key takeaways that a business owner would like to learn about from that book?
The biggest part of empathic marketing is what we talked about at the start of the show, is really understanding your audience, like taking that time to understand have an experiential understanding and an emotional understanding. But so we've talked about that. So the next biggest thing that every business should do is have what I call a big differentiator. Okay.
Mm,
And so that's what sets you apart from everybody else. Right. And so when I talked about the weight loss training earlier, I talked about, he got my attention with Train Like a Kangaroo, but that was just a clickbait, right? Just to get me to click on the ad to see what he was talking about. But then he
yeah.
talked about density stacking. He's like, my training works because I use density stacking. That allows you to get the same results in what it takes would take you 2 hours in a gym. We can do in 25 minutes because we're
Wow.
density stacking. And because he put that name on it, density stacking, because it's a real thing, it made me trust that it would work. Right. And so that's just a small guy that's making density stacking work for him. And then, but the big brands are all doing it, right? Like I mentioned earlier as well at the start of the show, I drive a Ram 1500 pickup truck. It has a Hemi engine, right?
Wow.
What is a Hemi? Hemi means that you get more horsepower, more torque with less with less fuel usage, right? Because the
Mm,
cylinder head is shaped in a hemisphere as opposed to a flat head, so more surface area. Anyway, but only Ram has the Hemi. So if I want to drive a truck with a Hemi, I have to drive a Ram. Now,
mhm.
that's not saying the other car companies don't have good vehicles, right? Ford has EcoBoost, right? And so that's a turbocharged engine, which means that it only runs on 4 cylinders when you're putting around the city. But when you want to haul your boat, then it kicks into EcoBoost, right? And then that's when the turbo kicks in. And so like day-to-day driving, you're only on 4 cylinders, you're not using much gas, but when you need the power is there. But they just use those things as such huge crutches for them, right? Ford's got the EcoBoost, Ram's got the Hemi. Dyson vacuums are by far the most expensive vacuum cleaner out there, right? And the
Yeah.
reason they can do that is because they have cyclone technology, right? Which has such better suction, right? So it's so these are all big differentiators. So the big brands are using it, like Ford and Ram and Dyson, and like this fitness guy, he's got density stacking, and myself, like I'm an empathic marketing specialist. What does that mean? That means, well, I have a trademark on empathic marketing, that I've trademarked that term, right? And so you're like, oh my gosh, like he must be a really good marketer because he takes the time to understand his audience. Every marketer out there that is any good at all does what I do, right? But I've created a really cool way to say it, right? So
Mm.
I am better than other marketers, but let's say I wasn't. But let's say I was just average. Like if I'm an average marketer that says I have empathic marketer, I'm an average marketer who says I have empathic marketing versus an average marketer who says he, researches his audience's emotions. Who are you going to choose, right? You're going to go with
Yeah.
me because, I'm this expert in empathic marketing. So it doesn't, there's two types of big differentiators. There's the one like, what was the first example I gave? Oh crap! What was the first thing? Oh, the density stacking. The density, like so many fitness trainers do density stacking. Like the workouts I'm doing with Fabian aren't any different than most of the other ones, right? But he
Mhm.
was the first to talk about it. Like I say, density stacking isn't something he invented. If you do a Google search for it, you'll find the sports journal articles talking about density stacking, right? And so other fitness trainers are doing density stacking, but he made it his own. Like he said, I'm doing it, right? And that's different than RAM, right? Like RAM does have, they're the only engine that is shaped like a Hemi engine, right?
Hmm.
So that is truly unique. That, but like say Fabian's thing is just they've said something that nobody else is saying, and that's the same as me, right? Empathic marketing. Like I'm just like I research my audience's emotions, Duh. Like say every other marketer does it, but I've planted my flag on empathic marketing. And so all of your listeners, I don't care what business they have, they either have something proprietary that they've invented that they really need to put front and center because that's what convinces the mind, right? So if I
Hmm.
had a weight loss pill, I would be talking about Garcinia cambogia because I saw you get super interested when I said that this how this pill works, right? And so
Yeah.
other so if you've got a product, if you've got a weight loss pill with like 10 different items in it and Garcinia is one of them, like there's probably lots of my competitors that are still using Garcinia, but nobody's talking about it. I would be the first one to say, hey, you need to use my weight loss pill because I've got Garcinia cambogia, this East Asian berry, right? So, like this, what I'm saying is that your audience, whether they've created something proprietary that nobody else has or is legally allowed to use, like a Hemi engine, or if they're just doing what everybody else is doing, but everybody else isn't talking about it, if they're the first to talk about it, that's how they can differentiate.
Mm, nice. So differentiation is key and it's important.
It is so important, like, because, like, look at, like, would you buy something now because it's organic? Like, what
Mm,
isn't organic now? Like, you're gonna buy something that's organic, but you're not gonna buy it just because of that. But
yeah.
like 8 or 10 years ago, when something came out that was organic, it's like, oh my gosh, there's no pesticides, there's no herbicides on this. I'm gonna buy that, right?
Yeah.
Because the first people who came out with like organic, that was a thing, and that was very big differentiator. But right now I'm seeing like I've talked to people, like I say I use isogenics, a meal replacement, and I've worked with their competitors. And I'm like, so what makes you guys unique? And they're like, oh, well, our shakes are 100% organic. I'm like, I want you to find me a meal replacement shake that isn't organic now. Like, if you're not organic, then you're not going to make any sales. So that isn't what separates you, right? And so what Isogenics has done is, yeah, they're organic. They don't even talk about it because, like I say, everybody is. But they said, well, you can lose weight with Isogenics because of cellular cleansing, and that's a way to flush the fat out of your cells without feeling hungry. And none of the other weight loss or meal replacements are saying that that way, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, you definitely want to differentiate yourself, and different is always better than better.
Hmm.
Because if I tell you I'm
Nice.
better than somebody else, you're not. Again, we're going back to audience's level of sophistication. You're just like, based on what? You're not going to
True.
believe me, right? But when I say, um, I can help you understand your audience better because I'm an empathic marketing specialist. You might not truly understand what empathy means, but you've got a good enough understanding. It's like, oh, and it's funny because every podcast I listen to, every guru, partway through, they talk about empathy. Like, and every time they
Hmm.
do, like, I don't care. Like, if Tony Robbins is like, you have to have empathy for who you're speaking with. Like, oh my gosh, like, I am so fortunate to have planted my flag. Like, say, I have the trademark for empathic marketing, especially now. Like, everybody's talking about it, and so it's really cool that I'm able to own it. And I think, again, just going back, every one of your listeners, if they have a business, there is something that we can find that will make them unique and make them stand out.
Hmm. True. All right. So, what's your apart from ChatGPT? What's your tech stack you use in managing your business, your clients, and the rest?
I really, let's see. I know I have two. Like I use, well, three, but Chat and Claude I sort of use interchangeably depending on what
Hmm.
I need. I kind of like the response I get better from Chat, but I like for longer form stuff I use Claude. But the other thing I use now, which is super helpful, is Vidyo, VIDYO
Oh.
.ai. Because like I think a lot of us know that we need to get content out there all the time, and most of us are terrible at creating content all the time. And so what video AI does is you can take a video of any length, plug it into the software, and it will go through, and it's so good at this. It finds like the 30 to like 75-second long snippets where you're saying like the most brilliant things, and it just pulls
Hmm.
that little bit of video out. And so like in this podcast, like if you upload this podcast into video.ai, it'll give you about 30 different clips of
Wow.
just the most brilliant things that I've said during this interview, right? And now you've got 30 clips that you can use, in your Facebook Reels, your Instagram Reels, your YouTube Shorts, right? And you just got so much content. And that's another thing I like to do is I suck at like creating a 30-second, 60-second clip of something. My brain doesn't work that way. I would rather like educate you to the degree that you can really have something to take away. So I can
Hmm.
do same thing. I can do like an 8 or 10 minute training one day and then stick it into video. And it's so amazing how I did say a lot of important things within 45-second window, and it pulls it out. And so then I've got a VA. So this is where the human still comes in, right? So I just upload my video. So I've taught her how to use video. And so, yeah, I'll just upload a video to a Google Drive, and then she plugs it into video AI, and then she just disseminates it in Facebook and Instagram Reels and all that other LinkedIn and all the places. So those are the two things I use the most. And the one I'm not using yet because I'm not a tech guy is what's the image creator? Um,
Mid journey.
Mid Journey. Yes.
Yeah.
And because that uses Discord and I don't fully understand how Discord works, and I'm sure it's not very complicated, but it's not as straightforward as again, if I spent like 12 minutes, I could probably figure it out. I just haven't
Yeah.
had,
No,
I
it's
haven't
not
had, I
even.
haven't done that. But that's the one thing I think I'm missing in my AI arsenal is some good graphics creators.
Yeah. I think for graphics, you can use Leonardo.ai. It's more
Okay.
it just has it just has an interface, so it's better than with the
Just,
interface, it's better than Discord. Yeah.
okay. Leonardo.a. I'll check that out. Cool.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So, is there anything else you'd like to share with us that we've not covered on empathic marketing, on AI, anything business owners would love to, that would help business owners?
You know, instead of like overloading with more stuff, like
We go back.
it's like back in the day, you used to create your customer avatar. Like I think we all know we need the avatar, and so
Yeah.
that's like I'm targeting men 25 to 55 years old who are Republicans and do this, that, and the other thing, and they earn like between 80 and $150,000 a year. And I think customer avatars used to be that was what they were, right? And that
Mhm.
was the demographics, and you need that information because when I'm targeting you on Facebook, those are the stats that I have to enter into my audience
Hmm.
selection, right? But then we're going back to Facebook just being the vehicle. Like now we've got to get the message out there. And I can't get a good message out there if I haven't read your journal article, right? I have to have read
Hmm.
your journal article. I have to know like what is like why aren't you going to sleep as soon as you get to bed? It's because you're worried about something. I need to know what you're worried about. And I need to know like what you hope is going to happen tomorrow that's going to get you out of the problem that you feel you're facing today, right? And we just need to spend that time. And like a year ago, I can understand why you wouldn't want to spend that time because it was hard. But now with Chat GPT, like just going in and asking it the right questions, and this, like one of the questions you asked in when we did our pre-interview is, for non-tech people, how do you do all of this? That is what's
Exactly.
so cool about Chat GPT is you don't have to be a techie. Like I said, I just talk to Chat like a friend. And so what's really cool about Chat is if you're like, okay, I just listened to this podcast with Peter and Mike, and I want to use Chat GPT to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't know how. Go into Chat and say, hey, Chat, I want to find this solution, but I don't even know what questions to ask you. Like, if I want to, sell air conditioners to people who live in apartment buildings, what information do you need to know to help me create a marketing campaign? And chat will just tell you, well, you've got to ask me like these 12 questions. And then once I have the
Wow.
answers to those 12 questions, I'll be able to find a solution for you. So that's what's so cool about chat. And it's funny because like I when I'm speaking with somebody, I like to be very clear in my communication. And so quite often I'll go back and preface. But with chat, and I thought being a like a computer interface, I would have to do that all the time.
Yeah.
But like if chat gives me an answer, I can just say, no, that's not right. And it'll give me a better answer. Like, I don't have to say, "No, that's not right," because, that battery bank should be 50% less. I can just say, "No, that's not right," and chat will go, "Huh, why did he say that? Let me look at this calculation again. Oh, wait a minute, I made a mistake." Like, it's just it freaks me out. It freaks me out because yeah, it just freaks me out. So don't let chat freak you out. If you don't know how to use it, just go into chat and ask it, "How do I use you?" Like literally do that. "Hey chat, I listened to this podcast and they said you can help me with my marketing. How can you do that?" And chat will just
Mm.
it'll create a course for you. It's like, "Well, this is how I can help you. First, you need to tell me what you're selling, and I need these 3 things. And then you need to tell me who you're selling to, and I need these 3 things." And it's really cool if you just answer those questions, then it'll give you the exact final response that you're looking for.
Wow. Wow. Hmm. That's a really interesting take on it because end of the day, when you go online, you see a lot of adverts selling prompts and all that. So
Prompts.
with
Yeah.
what you said now, you can just ask chat for your prompts.
Yeah, like somebody's selling 10,000 prompts. 10,000 prompts is of no value to me whatsoever. Like 3 prompts? Like if 3 prompts for a better marketing campaign, I might, pay 9.97 for that. 3
Hmm.
prompts. But don't sell me 10,000 because, if I'm looking for prompt number 574, like do I have to read 573 prompts before I find the one I'm looking for?
Exactly.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And actually with ChatGPT now, there's I forget what it's called, but so before when you had a chat going, like it would learn from the chat. And so like I've
Hmm.
got a couple different chats. Like I've got a chat going for each one of my clients. Okay. And so whenever I'm doing any work with that client, I go back to that same thread because now chat knows everything that we talked about before. But
Yeah.
if I go to chat with a brand new thread, they wouldn't know anything. Like chat wouldn't know anything about me, wouldn't know language. Like I like to speak in what I call a casual professional language. So like if you just say casual, it's like it just uses jargon and it's way too casual. And if you're
Hmm.
professional, then it's just way too clinical. But if you use a casual professional, it's just a really relaxed language, kind of like I speak. And when I read it, stuff's like, yeah, that's how I would have written it. But anyway, like a few weeks ago, you would have to every time you started a new thread, you would have to educate chat to how you wanted the responses written out and what
Hmm.
tone. But now there's a thing in the bottom left where you've got like 1,500 characters or something, and there's two boxes you can fill in. One is you can tell about you, so I could say, hey. I'm an empathic marketing specialist. I specialize in these different things, and I used to be a paramedic for 12 years, and so that can be helpful, right? And so I tell chat a fair bit. I can fit a fair bit of information about me, and then the second box you can say, how you want the responses given to you. So I want all my responses in bullet forms. I want tables created. What language you want. So it's really cool. This was just introduced a couple weeks ago. So now when I start a new thread, chat knows who I am.
Hmm.
And in that second part, you can say, and don't make anything up. Like no fictitious, like like I'm a lawyer. So you say that in the top. I'm a lawyer. I have to follow the law. And the second thing, don't make up any laws. Like if the law doesn't exist, don't cite
Don't
it.
add it.
And then you're covered, right? And then you're covered. And so yeah, chat like that. This is literally 2 or 3 weeks old that you can now do this. I don't know where I was going with that, but you can work chat without having to do that initially. But yeah, And actually, just even ask Chat. Hey, Chat. I want to make sure you don't make up stuff. How can I, moving forward, how can I make sure that all your answers are truthful? And I haven't tried this yet, but it'd probably say, "Oh, I have a new feature. Go down there and just write that in the second box, and you'll get truthful answers."
Yeah. So, how can listeners on the show, if they want to get your book, if they want to learn from you, if they want to work with you, how can they reach you?
So I've got a couple of deals going. Oh, this is yeah. So I can take a couple minutes because you asked something that uh, so I said the big differentiator, but there's another thing they can do, and it's your guarantees. Like your
Hmm.
guarantees have to be to the degree that your competition's like he's crazy for doing that, right?
Mm.
And so I've got two offers. If you go to becausebusinessspersonal.com, that's my podcast website. I've got two offers up there. One, you can get a copy of my book for free. So you just pay for the shipping and handling, and I'll send you a book. Oh, sorry, you've got a lot of UK audiences. I can't do it overseas because I've got a yeah, somebody from Ireland tried to get my book last week. It was going to cost me $34 to send them my book.
Wow.
It's like, yeah, no, can't do that. Sorry, man. Yeah, but in North America, yeah, free copy of my book. But way more value than that. Like my book is awesome, but the thing with books, any book, I don't care. Most people don't implement what they learn. They learn it, they're more
Mm.
educated, but they don't implement. Like I've done it myself. You've done it. Like that's all. So if you really want your business to grow and get results, then I recommend um, booking a 30-minute gap analysis call. So that's 30 minutes where we'll look at where you are and where you want to be, and I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to get from where you are to where you want to be. Now, here's the thing. That's also known as a strategy call. And in our world, a strategy call means a sales pitch. Like, so
Hmm.
you're not like, so many of your listeners like, oh, Mike smells like a smart guy. Knows, but I know if I get on a call with him, he's just going to pitch me. So this is what I'm talking about with your guarantee. Okay. My guarantee is, and I'm telling you my guarantee, but this is something that businesses want to think about for themselves. So my guarantee is that if after our 30 minutes together, you don't feel I have delivered on my promise, and I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to get from A to B, I'm not going to just refund you. I'm going to give you double your money back. So here's the deal. The call is $97 for the 30 minutes, but I have a coupon. So if you do book with me, just put podcast in the coupon code box and you'll get $50 off. So it's $47
Hmm.
for this 30-minute call. But if I don't deliver what I say, tell you what you need to do to go from where you are to where you want to be, I will double your money back. So I'm actually going to give you 100 back instead of 94 or whatever it is. Okay, so I've doubled. So the worst you can do is double your money, but you're still worried about the pitch, right? You're like, I don't want to get on a call just to be pitched for 30 minutes. So what I've said as well is that if any time during those 30 minutes, I try to sell you on anything, it doesn't matter if it's my coaching services, my done for you services, or any of my affiliate products. If I try to sell you on anything during those 30 minutes, I owe you double what you paid
Hmm.
for that call. So what I'm doing there is I'm addressing your false limiting beliefs, right? You're like, I don't want to hop on a call with this guy because I'm not going to get any value, and he's just going to try to sell me on his, whatever $X thousand program, and I don't want to do that. So I've said in my guarantee that one, you will get value, or I'll double your money, and if I try to pitch you on anything, I'll give you double your money back. Of course, after the 30 minutes, it's fair game, right? So after 30 minutes, like, okay, Peter, so do you think I've given you what you need to get from A to Z? And you're going to say yes. I'm going to say, but you know what you need to do, but how long do you think it's going to take you to do it? Because I know if I do it for you, it's going to take me, a couple or a few weeks, and I know what I'm
Mhm.
doing, and I'm fast. But if you try to do it, I've told you what to do, but I'm sorry, man, you're going to struggle. And so if you want to start making sales right now, then if you're interested, I'll tell you 3 ways that I can help you. And if you don't want to hear those 3 ways, that's cool. But if you want fast results, then just give me permission. I'll tell you the 3 ways. Right. So there's no pressure. But anyway, that's my offer. Go to becausebusinessspersonal.com. And if you live in North America, I'll send you my book for free. Just pay for shipping. And but more importantly, if you want results fast, sign up for a 30-minute gap analysis. Like I say, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do. And if and that's what I've done. Like because I do what I'm told. So if I was on that call, I would be able to implement what I was told. So you definitely can do it. But if you're somebody who just wants it done, you just want results, then you might want to look at one of my other offers.
Hmm. All right. So the link, because business personal, will be added to the show in the show notes here when we go live. And thank you very much for coming on the
Perfect.
show today.
Thanks for having me, Peter. It was fun.
All right. So for the listeners, thank you for putting up with us this long. I'm sure you enjoyed the topic, and I'm sure you picked up a lot from today's topic. So, like you heard from Mike, learn about your customers, know their levels of sophistication, know their levels of problem awareness. Learn as much as you can about your customers before you put out any marketing message. And if it's too difficult, you know who to reach. So thank you.
That's right.
Thank you very much for coming on the show. Until next week, when we have another episode of the Tech Your Business podcast, don't forget to keep taking your business. Bye for now.